Hi, I'm Gav C and welcome to the video for the Hughes & Kettner Switchblade 50 combo. The Switchblade has been part of the Hughes & Kettner range now for a couple of years. There's a 100-watt head, there's a 100-watt combo available, and today I'm going to look at the Switchblade 50. It's a 50-watt combo, as you might expect. Now, although this amplifier is programmable and you can store presets and different things like that, I don't want you to get the impression that it is anyway a modelling amp. It isn't a modelling amp at all. It's a proper pure tone valve amp. Gives you all those classic valve sounds, but it does have the additional advantage of having digital effects already built in. Saves you lugging a pedal board to every gig. So it's very simple to use, and I'll take you through it now. So all the Hughes & Kettner Switchblade amplifiers come with the FSM 432 foot switch. It's a great bit of kit. Basically you've got A, B, C and D. They're your patches where you'll store your sounds to, and you've got those on banks 1 to 32, and you just go between the banks with the up and down buttons like so. Dead straightforward. Tap tempo button here for your delay times. It's connected via a 7-pin DIN cable, basically like a MIDI cable, but you could use a 5-pin MIDI cable, that would be fine, but then you'd have to use an optional power supply to drive the unit, otherwise it won't light up and do everything it should. With the 7-pin, it's powered by the amp, so there's no problem there. So all I do basically when I create a new sound is I press the store button on the front of the amplifier and then press the corresponding switch where I want to save it. And if I don't want to save it on that bank, I just change the bank first, then press the patch bay number. It's that simple. Dead easy to use. You don't need to be a rocket scientist, and that's why I like it. So the control panel is laid out like pretty much any standard sort of amplifier. You've got your master volume, then a number of controls here. But to be honest, the master volume is the only true pot on there. All the other controls are linked to a series of resistors, and that's how the amplifier is able to remember all the different settings that you might dial in. So let's say we wanted to get a standard clean tone. It's very simple. You turn the channel select switch here to clean, not surprisingly, and then, as you would with any amplifier, just alter the controls to get the sound you want. So I'm not going to want a lot of gain on a clean sound setting, so I'll take that right down. Take some of the bass off, add a bit of treble in. Reverb at this end. Dial a bit of reverb in. Too much reverb, I'll take that out, and then I think we should be good to go. Now you've got the sound that you want, and if you're happy with that sound, dead simple, you press the store button here and then click the corresponding patch number on the control switch that I showed you earlier, and now that is stored for good. If you switch your amplifier off, put it away for 6 months, when you come back to it, that particular patch setting will still be set like that. You don't have to do a thing with it. So let's say we wanted a crunch sound. Well, basically you do the same thing again. Moving on to the crunch setting. Dial in the tone that you want. So let's say we want a bit more gain on this. And the beauty of it being a proper valve amp is you can do the trick that you would do with a valve amp, which is to have quite a lot of gain on, so it's quite distorted. But then back your volume off on your guitar to get more subtle tones. Almost becomes quite clean tone, which dial in your volume. So it works exactly like a normal amplifier in that respect. You have digital effects, as I said before. Your reverb is separate, as is your delay, and you've got separate feedback and time controls for your delay, which obviously is a really useful feature. You can then dial in extra effects using the modulation control here. You've got either chorus, flanger or tremolo. So that will work very straightforward. If I put on a drive setting like so I want to add some flange into that, just turn the front. Or chorus, we can go to chorus, put some chorus in. Of course, chorus works really well on a clean setting. So if I go back to the clean setting that I dialed in earlier on, put some chorus in now. What I can do with that is store that exactly as it is on a different patch. So press the store button again, get it to where I want it. That's it, press the button and it's stored. So I can now go from the A on bank 1, which is just clean, to the A on bank 2, which is the chorus on. It has a dedicated FX loop as well, so you can, if you've got your own favourite pedals, which everybody has, and you want to use them, you can certainly put them in, no problem at all. You can even set the patch to decide whether it wants to let that effect through or not. That saves you the added hassle of pressing another switch. So for instance, say you had an overdrive or something else, you could leave it switched on permanently and it would only engage when you went to the particular patch that you'd set it up to be engaged on. As I say, that saves you just a little bit of footwork. So I've set this up now with 4 different patches. I've got a clean patch, I've got a drive patch, I've got an heavier drive patch for rhythm work, and then I've got a lead patch which has delay. I'll take you through them. So here's the clean, here's the drive, which, as I say, you can back that off and clean it up. Here's the heavier drive rhythm. And here's my lead with delay on it. And the bags of sustain from that lead channel, especially on the ultra setting there. Now let's say you've messed about with one of your controls and you don't know what you did with it. One of the great things about this is that it actually remembers and will show you exactly where your settings were via the little original value LED here. So for instance, if I alter the delay setting on here, you see the flash then? I've changed the time. Now say I wasn't happy with that and I wanted it back how it was, I would just turn that slowly, and that's what it was. It's a good way of memorizing all your different patch settings, you know. One of my favorite things is that most people will only use, say, half a dozen, maybe 10 different patches, but that doesn't matter. You can keep going as much as you want, of course, and there's 128 different patches you can save to. But say that there's only 3 or 4 sounds that you use most of the time. One of the great things I find is to keep those favorite sounds all stored in the different banks. So you'd have, say, a good clean sound, your drive sound and a lead sound, but then you might want one sound that's different. Just keep them all the same and save some to bank 1, some to bank 2, some to bank 3. So it's easy to go between your normal sounds. You're not having to jump through lots of different patches and lots of hoops to get back to your normal sound. Let's try doing something with the drive here. So for instance, most of the time I just use my drive as a standard driver like that. But I might want to dial a bit of tremor. Add if you want to do any Creedence Clearwater, yeah? Well, again, just press the store button, move that to bank 2, and save it on B in bank 2. That's going to be there all the time for me to access, dead easy. So I can just go from bank 1, normal, drive, bank 2, trem drive there. And the possibilities are endless. You can just keep going on, building different sounds, different patches. But at the same time, it's very simple, it's very intuitive, and it's very real sounding. There's nothing digital about it. Yeah, the digital effects, but it doesn't really matter when you're playing with an amp of this quality. It really does sound studio quality.